Hello, hello, hello. How is everyone? How is everyone today? I have some things to post. Forgot to play my intro screen, so that's my fault. So I apologize for a second. I type all of this out. All right. Hello. So I think the things that I want to talk about today are questions, if you guys end up having questions. And then I also want to talk about, you know, like some of the advanced features that we have because of war pets and some of the thoughts behind why I think X is better than Y, or where I think some of these things should be placed. Um, so that way things can be worked out a little bit better. I think the first thing that I want to do is kind of show. So if I look at this guy, he's level, or he is my pride and joy, right? He's the guy that I've worked on the most and I feel the most comfortable with. Um, but if I pull out my mage heroes, if we look at my codex, my codex, and we look at my creatures, my Berserker Fairy I've captured 10 times. My Sapphire Fairy I still need to capture 6 times. So I won't even be able to unlock her next reset. I have to wait one more. Unfortunately, I'm out of whatchamacallit. But if we go ahead and attack this infantry, and we look at what pops up, we see that the Fairy pops up right here, or the Berserker Drake pops up right here. But if we look over here, we will never see the magic hero pop up. So again, right, I have this one unlocked. And you can see when they use like a deputy or anything like that, you can see, right, that's my deputy activation. That's my dragon activation. That's Lily's activation. Oh, it does pop up. Okay. So I guess it does include combat right away. And I'm not sure what the codex unlocks besides 5 gems, which kind of bothers me. Because it should, in theory, pop up, or it should, in theory, change more. At least that's my understanding. Um, Fragger. trying to see if inside of the battle report it actually says that it uses the pet, right? But I don't see it. Oh, arrogance. Okay. So let's see if I see it in here. Yep. Oh, okay. I do like how detailed these battle reports are, that you can actually see when everything is activated to be able to prove or disprove a theory. Because that was my theory, right? That you had to unlock 5 or 10 of them in order to be able to utilize them. And I guess that's wrong, right? Yeah. Okay. So I think the next thing that we should talk about is what makes a pet, which is when a pet has a talent. And beyond that, nothing else matters. So if I look here, I have frost armor here. But if I look here, I don't have frost armor. So this pet isn't really a pet, and it will get released. But you can collect 7 hearts in the beginning, and then you can collect 5 hearts from the new pets that you have. So 14 plus 10. So you definitely want to be able to collect all of those in order to take advantage of how the system works. Now, there have been glitches. Someone in my alliance said that they weren't able to collect above 7. One person in my alliance said that they collect 10 above 7. I collected 20 above 7. So I really don't know if it's like an intended mechanic or if it's like a break in the system and it's not fully developed yet. If you guys watched my first YouTube video, you definitely know that like the skills setup seems really odd. As for how that resolved, I actually did not even purchase this terrible arrogance I have. If we look at my buy chart real quick. If we look at my buy chart real quick, you can see that I only bought the 1 terrible arrogance, right? So I bought 1 forceful concentration because I didn't really know what I was doing. That was a mistake. 1 maniac might to experiment because it's really low in cost, and then 1 terrible arrogance. So the pet that took terrible arrogance after I had merged it and lost the passive, I released into the wild because support basically said, no, this is an intended mechanic. It's not our fault. We clearly warned you. They don't warn you. But I took the L. It wasn't worth arguing, right? Not worth my time. And I released it into the wild. Luckily got back my terrible arrogance when I released it into the wild. And then I RNG'd it and I put it here. So I'm really, really psyched about that. Now, passives can be 0, 1, and 2 star. So you could, in theory, say that this isn't the best one that could be here, right? This talent. However, here you can see, right, I have a 1 star. Now, I have the Forceful Bloom. I just bought it at 0 star just so it was there, right? I plan on doing the same with my Frost Bear eventually. Once I find one that I really like, or maybe I could do it now, right? This is Strength. Yeah, let's see what the alt is. Yeah, Forceful Ice Core, but it's determined by intelligence. It's only 480. But my intelligence is poo-poo here. Strength and intelligence, both poo-poo here. Strength and intelligence. It's also noted that, like, look, this is strength and intelligence here, and then this is strength and intelligence here. So there's clearly some formatting that's wrong, right? Because not everything is the same on these base attributes. I don't know if the positioning matters for it. Another thing to consider. A lot of things to consider. Yep, a lot of things to consider. So even the, so we'll see if I come back and like, in order to get the 480, I don't even think I'd need to spend more than $1 to get it. If we look, right? So yeah, it'd be $1 in order to get 500 coins, and we could roll it once and see if we get it. I'll think about it. But I'll think about it. So if we talk about what makes a pet, sorry, I'm just kind of rambling because no one's talking, so I'm not 100% sure what people want to know about pets. I'm hoping if I talk about a bunch of things, people will eventually be like, that's the thing I want to talk about. Please answer this question. So if we look at this pet, the reason I'm so satisfied with it is now depending on if it's agility here, right, which is 22, or if it's intelligence here, which we don't know, right, which is S tier here. This is like pretty good because this is intelligence and this is intelligence. But if it's agility, then both my luck and agility are A, and I'd probably want to re-roll it eventually. But then these two skills are luck, and I have 5 slots, which you can have up to 8. And eventually I'm sure that I'll have 5 pets that are like okay, and I will want to focus one or the other. But for now, I appreciate that. Thank you for the follow. But for now, I'm just looking at trying to get 5 pets that are good, and then I'll work on refining them beyond that. Which is why I've only bought 1 skill for it. That's 2-star, and I will buy a panda, a 2-star skill. So that way I have, you know, a good tank, a good cavalry, and then hopefully I have the ability to buy the 2-star forceful pain bloom, and it lands well. So that way I can actually have 3 pets, but I only have 2 purchases of 2 stars, so I need really good RNG. Anyways, so if we look at a pet, what we want is we want at least 5 slots, which I have 5 slots, preferably 6. The 7th and 8th one are like bonus, and that would like go to like ultimate refining of a pet, right? So if you get 5 or 6, definitely good. The second thing that I'm looking at is I want the skills to follow the same suit, so I'm only worried about rolling 2 good suits. If I, you know, have 4 of each, I'm asking for like a perfect pet. These stats don't matter unless I have a skill that is triggered off of it, which again is why I'm hoping that this is intelligence, so that way I'm, you know, 2 and 2. Now, again, if this is strength, I could, or sorry, yeah, if this is agility, I could still change this one to agility. I'm definitely gonna find one that's luck here because this symbol and this both say luck. Hey Rustam, can I give you that dragon? Unfortunately not. My favorite unit is Flying Cavalry, and with the defense break here, or sorry, with the Flying Cavalry that's coming out, being the wheel hero, I'm guaranteed to spin both wheels. Absolutely. I love making the 600 spin wheel videos. I feel like they're unique compared to other content creators. So I'm going to be spinning, and that means that it should get relatively high, right? My Frigger's almost awakened, so I'm pretty hyped about it. I think the new pair is gonna be him as lead, since he has the control lead, the control tree, and then Frigger as deputy. So, again, you want 2 skills, 2 to 3 skills that are one type, and then 2 to 3 skills that are the other type. So if I go into my skill set and I look to replace, you know, this skill, because it's a 0-star, so I'll at least want to buy a 1-star, because you can only buy 5 2 stars in a season, I will immediately want to look for luck skills only, right? So I have Divine Hit, which would replace this. Crit rate plus 1.1% when Legion deals physical normal attack damage. Seems insane. I'm definitely good with that. That's why I don't need to, or I'm not worried about replacing this one right away. But then crit rate plus 10% when Legion deals physical war pet skill damage. I really like this one, right? Blood Roar. Because he does deal physical damage, right? Physical right here. So this one would be like if I wanted Divine Hit here, because this one is useless, right? So I definitely don't want this one. This one and this one together would be awesome. And that's honestly what I'll probably go for. I'm not looking for heal, not something that I care about. Here, rate plus 1% magic hero skill damage, not looking for that. We don't have fierce attack. We don't have follow up. We don't have or magic war pet skill damage, right? So crit rate plus 10% will probably go on to my Sapphire Fair Drake. Crit rate plus 1.1%. I'd rather have Blood Roar. I think that would be better, especially if I build like a rage build on the control tree. I think that it would be better, right? Yeah. So, and then here, deficiency on target Legion every second. Pet deficiency, war pet trigger chance minus 2.2%. Not interested in interacting with their pets at this time, because everyone's going to be building up their pets, so it's not really something I care about. This is awful. Like, hey, my units have died. Let me restore 1.7% of my units, so that way I can kill even more. Seems awful. 1.1% dispel a buff effect from target Legion per second. That seems okay. But again, I don't like this. Determined by spirit, but the wrong symbol, and then determined by luck. I play on K102. Pragos. Interruption, 25% to inflict pet deficiency. Sorry. And then those are all the luck skills. So I think I'm going to go with Blood Roar and Divine Hit. So I'd definitely buy Blood Roar first to replace Bolt from the blue passive, or even end up here, right? And these would be my 3 luck skills. But again, my 2 stars, I'm first going to replace Frost Armor Bear, and I'm going to try and get one of his 2 stars here, and then, or one of the 3 empty slots. And then if I get lucky and I get on the first one, I will try to replace one of these 4 skills. Don't care about any of these. Well, this one's cool. Don't care about it. This one's intelligence and this one's intelligence. So I already only care about this stat so far. So if I have an intelligence and a spirit that I care about, this pet doesn't really need to be re-rolled. Because those 2 stats are A. Now, legendary does increase the multiplier, but I can wait to re-roll the multiplier until I get all my other pets sorted out, because it's just a small, well, I mean, it's not a small multiplier, but I'd want other pets to be able to work at the same time. I wouldn't want to just focus everything on one time, if that makes sense. So again, that's why I want to focus on 2 skills at a time. Or 2 stats. I don't really want to worry about a 3rd stat. Again, that would be going when I'm like trying to perfect a pet, right? Eventually, after I have, you know, all of these skills, this one 3-star, this one 3-star, and a 3-star here, I would consider re-rolling this one, or sorry, 2-star, right? I don't know when we unlock 3 stars, but I'd consider re-rolling this one to get, again, depending on it, if this is actually intelligence or agility, I would consider re-rolling intelligence and strength or luck, and trying to get a S here, and an S somewhere else, wherever that 3rd S landed, along with having, you know, up to 7 skill slots or 8 skill slots, then I would consider keeping it. But I'd also have to take into consideration of like what skills are available for the third slot that I take, but not at the cost of intelligence and luck. I wonder if we look at the battle report, it shows what it's based off of. I guess that's a good thing. It goes around the 6 or 7 second. Yeah, this is very frustrating. This is very frustrating. Thanks, Hachi. Love you too. That's very frustrating because, like, I just want clear definition on what I need to focus on because clearly this is my favorite pet. This is going to go perfect with the new Flying Legion, and I'm obsessed with Flying Cav. So, the next thing that I want to talk about is when determining. So, besides when I look at a pet and I want to determine if it's a real pet, obviously I need the passive. But what else do I look at when determining what pet goes with what legion? And honestly, I need to give credit to Raccoony. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. Let me see if I can find his name. Yeah, Raccoony. So when he convinced me that Sapphire Drake was the best for mages over anything else, there was a deep conversation that we had, and I appreciate his time. And his point was that different pets do have different benefits, right? But Pain Bloom, while it only cares about dealing damage to one legion surrounding it, here it talks about each time you inflict Scorch, Freeze, or Ensnare on one enemy legion, Pain Bloom deals more damage the next time it's cast. So Valiant deals Freeze and Liliana deals Scorch. So it will deal, in theory, twice as much. So that's insane, right? Because it says Pain Bloom damage bonus plus 0.6%, max of plus 40%. So it appears to be additive until Pain Bloom secondary happens. So you definitely want to consider the advanced form of the passive or the secondary form, or I call it the ultimate form, right? Because this is the talent and this is like the ultimate talent or whatever. And so this is the reason that Sapphire Fairdrake is like the best for all of them, because whether or not you're using Valiant Lily, you're using Waldir Alwyn, you're using Valiant Alwyn, you can always fit Sapphire Fairdrake with one of them, and it fits into Flying Legions. Why am I investing on a pet with 0-star talent? You talking about these two? Or what? Lynn, I'm not sure what you're asking me. Are you talking about these two, or are you talking about these two? I have only found the 1-star talent here. I haven't found more than a 1-star talent. The talent skill. Yeah. So you're talking about this one. I haven't found higher than a 0-star. This one is the pet that I got when I selected it. I am sure that there is up to 3-star in the passive. I'm sure that there's up to 3-star in the talent, but RW is not in zone 3, so we don't have access to level 25s. So for now, it's the best that I have, and I want to be ready for season 2. We're done with fighting. We have peace agreements with OH and BH. We have skirmishes, but we're focused on account growth. So while it may not be like the most optimal thing to do, I want to be able to hit hard next season right when I hit the floor running. If I had access to zone 4 or however you want to call it, right? When I defer to zones, zone 1 Sophronia, zone 2 are things like Kalita, zone 3 is like Hollandale, and then zone 4 is Athern. So would I invest into it in the end? Probably not. But Flying Cav is probably going to do the most interference early on in the season, because if we're going to merge with 4 to 6 alliances, then we want to be able to interact with them. And one, hopefully diplomacy goes better next season, since I'll be a part of it. And then two, we want to ensure that we are doing our best to interrupt and make it so that way people want to enter diplomacy, right? And one of those ways to do it is interact with their gatherers, which means Flying Cav would be a higher priority. Yeah, Guanylin. If I had access and I got higher skill passives, I never would have put Terrible Arrogance on Berserker Frederick. But that's why I only focused one skill, and I'm not intending on doing more skills on him. But I have to deal with what I got. That's exactly correct. And that's why my next pet will be, it'll probably actually be Frostbear, which is another 0-star skill. And then it'll be Sapphire Frederick. But maybe I'll do Sapphire Frederick since you bring up a good point. Since it's at least 1 star. I don't know. Bring up another point. But anyways, when considering the skill that you want to invest, or the pets that you want to invest into, or why you want to use that pet, you definitely want to look at what the ultimate or advanced skill does. Even if you're free to play, you're able to come in here and sell your additional skill cards, right? So like this one has like heart wall, so I might be able to keep it. But I'm not really interested in this one, so I can go to sell, and I can sell this one, right? Or well, I'd sell this one, right, for 32, and then I'd sell this one for 32, and then Gentle Breeze, not interested. Sell this one for 32. Guardian Oath, absolutely not. Sell this one for 32. Terra Barrier says seems good. Heart Wall seems great. I love Shield. Bristles seems great. So I'll keep those ones. But eventually I'll get to 470. So even if I ultimately, as a free-to-play player, which I'm not, but if like I was a free-to-play player, if I ultimately never felt like I could afford getting a 2-star, I would still want to invest in their ultimate skill to get that benefit. Yeah, I don't disagree, Bongulin. And that's why I'm kind of trying to describe is why Sapphire Frederick is so important, is because of its advanced form. And then obviously Frostbear, well, I guess to me it's obvious that Frostbear is the best tank. And the reason for best tank is gaining a shield instead of healing. If you look at the red and white panda, it heals. And if we look at what PvP does, healing is really, really bad, because all you're doing is in a losing situation or a situation where you're tanking, you're healing more units over and over and over again, which means eventually you'll have more severely injured units, which means that more and more units will die and fill up your hospital in addition. A shield being triggered is damage mitigation, which means that you'll likely last just as long on the battlefield, but you're not causing more troops to go to the hospital. Yes, I agree, Lynn. But I don't like just stating my opinion and being like, I am correct because my opinion is always correct. I like to have justification and a reason for it. That's like the number one reason I like to do the live, is I want players to feel comfortable having this conversation, so that way they understand my point of view. And like with Rakuni, I never really thought of the ultimate skill and that being the reason why you should consider a pet one way or another. And And because of that, I find it very valuable to approach it with that idea, right? Because the ultimate skill will never be available for any other. I mean, you can buy it, but it'll do nothing on any other pet. So it makes it that much more precious. So if we look at Frost Armor and then we go to Frost Armor's ultimate, which is Enduring Frost Armor, it increases the duration every 250 points of endurance, extends it by the effect by 1 second. And that's huge because that means the damage mitigation lasts longer and longer. Paired with like an Awaken Madeline, it makes your tank last so much longer. And in PvP right now, the current meta for high spenders is 1 tank, 2 mages, 2 archers. So you definitely want to focus on those types of things. And your tank lasting longer but not filling up your hospital more like healing would do definitely makes Frostbearer unequivocally the best. Now, going back to Sapphire Drake, right? So it's a mage type and it's universal, right? It interacts with slow, freeze, and scorch and snare. So it interacts with all 4 mages. But like I just said, in your PvP world, you want to have 2 different mages, and Sapphire Fairdrake can interact with Scorch, and you can have the Ice Lizard actually interact with your second March. So you could have the Ice Lizard interact with, you could do a Velian Waldir setup, which has slow and freeze, and then you could do a Lily Alwyn setup, or you could do a Valiant Lily setup for like max DPS, and then a Waldir Alwyn setup for a max CC style setup. And if we look at Alwyn, he has the control tree, which just makes it that much more insane. So the Ice Orb pet actually has the Ice Orbs, and when we I think that the lizards are not underwhelming so much as they haven't found their place. Most of the people coming here are like at peace in their server, or they've, come to a mutual understanding and PvP isn't happening anymore for like my viewer audience. So there's not as much engagement and not as much PvP. So saying that a lizard or anything is useless right now or underwhelming is hard to discern, because you can't really do meta lineups, right? Like I can't just pull out 2 archers, 2 mages, and a tank and see what's what, because I can't afford to. I don't have the PvP setup of 10v5 or 10v10 and my tank interacting with a bunch of people hitting it, and my mages interacting with 7 different tanks or whatever it is, right? So it's hard to say one is underwhelming and this one is like overperforming. You can speculate, you can look at the skills, and you can feel one way or another. I'm not trying to say that, but I think for right now, speculation is the best that we have. Yeah, I have the chart for all the best, or all of them, right? Ice Sword's damage plus 2.9%. And then the people that don't know what chart he is referring to, he is referring to this chart. One moment, please. It is not made by me. I believe this is from server 32. Let me zoom this out. It is made from server 32. Credit to the Blood Clan, I believe. Maybe totally wrong. It doesn't say the server, it doesn't say who it is. But if we look at the Ice Liber, it does damage for 3 seconds when a rage skill is casted. March speed reduces a reduction for 3 seconds. So it puts a frozen on a pet, which again, Frozen would interact with Sapphire Fairdrake at the same time. So if you're pulling out that double Mage March, you are suddenly interacting both pets at the same time to cause even more damage. So your Lily Alwyn would now have slow, slow, scorch, and freeze from this pet, not to mention your Waldir and everything. And as I said, it says plus 0.6%, maximum of 40% at skill 0, let alone higher. So it clearly stacks all of the debuffs before it. So it would deal more and more damage in theory, right? None of the other lizards right now seem very enticing to me besides Venomous Lizard. And that's because it says plus 12% chance to apply poison when hit with a normal attack, can be triggered once per second. Now, it does say skill damage magic here, but again, if we look at Berserker Fairdrake, it says agility, but it also says intelligence, right? So there are clearly typos, there are clearly issues with the chart overall. And according to Chiskel Gaming, the Blood Clan did extensive testing and they had no damage when using magic. They only had it in physical. And the pet that does poison would go really well with Gwyneth because Gwyneth does poison as well. Or every time when it's hit with a normal attack, 12% chance to apply poison. That would be really good with a tank, don't you think? Okay, so it does deal physical. So according to Gwynlyn, it has been confirmed. So physical with poison sounds really, really good for tank because tanks are typically focused by archers, mages, and the other tanks. So now you're dealing poison, 12% chance when hit by a normal attack. So not guaranteed every time, but you're going to be hit by normal attacks continuously. Now it can only be triggered once per second. However, that's still going to hit a few legions even if it dies too fast. I don't think that this would be better than Polar Bear on a tank legion, but it is a thought and a way that you could work around it. And this infection is its passive skill. So if we look at its advanced skill, oh man, I don't know if I know his advanced skill off the top of my head like I do everyone else. Forceful infection. Infection damage dealt plus 8%. That's insane, right? So there's a very good chance that your pet here could deal more and more damage. It has a chance to trigger every 12 seconds, and you could be poisoning a mage legion that you may not be able to reach in any other situation other than the fact that the mage legion is hitting that tank. So again, not sure if it will beat Polar Bear, but it is a fair thought that it may be worthwhile on a tank, especially if you have like T5, Awaken Madeline, Awaken Nika, which is obviously the best pair. And then you have the Lizard. You may not need the additional shield. Even if you die faster than someone with a Polar Bear, you could be dealing more and more damage to legions that you otherwise would not have been able to impact at all. So definitely think it's worth considering the Lizard as a second option. Right, and again, this is why all we can do is speculation. I don't have the ability to go out there and be like, yo, you 10 people, let's fight with these 10 people and let's see what happens. We are, like, so in my server, we are trying to coordinate that type of thing. We are trying to coordinate like a PvP situation next week. We have a war zone that you can PvP at any time, but for right now, it's a little bit harder. Yeah. So that's again why Like, I understand where this one Sand Lizard and Thunder Lizard would be feels very underwhelming, right? Like, I hate heals. Single target damage for magic seems awful. But this lizard, Venomous Lizard, seems really good for a tank. Seems okay for archers, not great. And then, Gwyneth again interacts with some poison. And then Ice Lizard seems really good for a double Mage Mark. Nice, that's awesome. Congratulations on the legendary pet. I only have the one. I've only ever had the one. And I won't be re-rolling it for a long time. I will probably be working on Sapphire Fairdrake and Frostbear. Guani Lin may have changed my opinion on working on Frost Armor first, and I will very likely be working on Sapphire Fairdrake first, solely because I would like Sapphire Fairdrake to have a 2-star since I have a 1-star passive, but we'll see. We'll see how the cookie crumbles. Maybe we're able to work diplomatically to get into Zone 4 and potentially be able to hunt level 25s and get more of them up. So, bunch of possibilities. But Venomous Lizard, again, I can't necessarily that it's going to be insane for tank, but I do like it. And going back to the meta, at least for our zone in our season, 1 tank, 2 mage, 2 archers. While you could run double Sapphire Fairdrake, I think that Ice Lizard offers a lot if you're running Belly and Waldir together. It has like insane CC inside of there, and the mages can freeze down a lot of the things to prevent a large like push by your opponents. So I'm not upset with that idea. As of right now, it doesn't sound like pets will be limited to 1 per type. But yeah. And Bonnie Lynn, that's again fair, but we don't have the same opportunities that sounds like you do, right? So as much as I hunt for level 24s and I'm looking for another 1-star passive, I don't have level 25s. And level 25s have the ability to drop 3-star skills and the higher odds of getting a 1-star passive and 2-star passive. Again, I just don't have that. So working with what I got. I want to be able to hit the ground running next season. Now, thinking about archers, again, not in love with any of these. Berserker Fairdrake, not in love with at this ability, or at this one for archers. And none of these really feel good for it. So that means that we have the rock, and then the bears are not good. So if we look at the 2 rocks, we have rage speed plus 5% for 5 seconds or extra damage. If the Legion has passion, and then marksman, Snow Peak Rock, physical attack plus 0.4%, 30% chance to deal defense break applies. So Snow Peak Rock really sounds like a Awaken Kanara type feel, right? 20% chance to inflict defense break. Sounds like it's going to add up there. And you can run like Syndrium, and then Kanara, or Kanara then Syndrium, depending on whether or not you prefer the precision tree or the control tree. But yeah. Nika does offer a lot. I think you mean Nico, not Nika. I think you mean Nico, not Nika. But Nico does offer a lot. And I re-rolled these stats, so ignore this 4. I know it's awful. I'm going to spend some universals to fix this 4 once my levels reset. No, you're good. He does offer defense break on his primary, but Syndrome's damage is like insane, so it's hard to offer that. Um, and then if we look at the other one, well, I understand you believe that it has to be with Cavalry. It grants rage speed, so allows the other archers to just like fire off faster, faster, and faster. And while Emrys is really good, there's a potential that Emrys becomes suboptimal next season once the new calves are released. So I'm not really interested or willing to invest into an Emrys exclusive pet, if that's how you view it. I can post it in my Discord right now. I'll post it in my Discord right now. Um, it's in my Discord under compiled data. Thank you for the reminder. In my Discord under compiled data. Yeah, and that's fair, Lynn. But you're not going to be. Most players are not going to be walking around using Cavalry in a PvP situation because Cavalry die too fast. They're either going to be utilizing Cavalry in a fighting farmers situation, right? Like going around and killing gatherers, or they're going to be utilizing Cavalry to try and snake around enemy lines in order to kill the kill the mages off, in which case they're not contributing to most of the fight because they have to pay attention to those Cavalry. And that can also be boring, but there are artifacts, right, that can work with going around that, because most PvP is going to happen around things like here, right, where this slope is. Most PvP is going to happen around there. And you can use artifacts here that are advantageous to this. So such as Wolfwoman of Haler, or Blink, the Blink artifact. Oh man, yeah, this is the Blink artifact. You can either Blink up there, or you can Wolfwoman of Haler up there. Obviously, Wolfwoman of Haler is better. We could Wolfwoman of Haler one legion and Blink the other legion up there. And have 2 Cavalry and kill mages that way, in which Snow Peak Rock does sound good for that, and I'm not trying to disagree with that. But for the purpose of where I'm trying to come from, I want to try and describe a reason why I feel like it is better to have a pet for a large engagement of PvP, such as 5 marches. And again, the meta for that is no Cavalry. It's 2 archers, 2 mages, and 1 infantry. Again, there are alternate uses, and that pet does seem pretty good for Emrys. But I'm not even sure if Emrys will be in the meta next season. The new ground cav that you get from Strongest Lord, which you can also get from the wheel that they'll be doing at the start of a season, so you'll be able to invest universals in order to get it to at least 5111. Seems way better than Emrys with Bakshi's Awaken, so it's hard to justify just saying like, hey, this is going to be for Emrys. I would rather be able to defend the pet in different regards, because if Emrys falls out of meta and no one's interested in building him, I don't want them to take the wrong approach and be like, oh, I never want Golden Rock, right? Because that's not the case. Hopefully that helps. I don't know. I'm just trying to describe my feelings, or describe my viewpoints in an eloquent manner. I think that that's important. I mean, that's totally fair, Lynn. And everyone has their own playstyle. My channel typically focuses on min maxing, though. I am a strong enjoyer of min maxing. I will not lie about that. I think it's the best thing in the world that you can possibly do. Now, as a spender, do I min max all the time? No. Should I min max more? Absolutely. But again, do I? No. So with that in mind, I still want to min max for my viewers. In my previous game, that was what I was known for. That was my claim to fame or whatever. And it's also what I like to do when I teach. Yeah, totally, Lynn. But poison damage is still really good for tanks since they get hit by so many people. Which is why, well, Polar Bear in my mind, because it gives shield, which means more survivability, is like de facto the best one. Poison Lizard may totally be better, just solely due to the fact that it impacts mages and archers when it targets it. And you can do other things to increase the pet's viability in being the front line, right? Such as bristles, which increases its overall defense. So it's really hard to just constantly say X, Y, or Z. And if we look at, one second, let me just look at the 2 stars real quick. Yeah, you can get Dauntless, which increases the war pet shield effect by plus 6%. Counter strike when your legion is hit by a normal attack, they have 50% chance to deal damage to the attacker. Tough counter strike. So counter strike and tough counter strike are the only 2 where you can buy the talent and the ultimate form of the talent in the same thing. So again, while I am not trying to disagree with you wholeheartedly, there are other ways to build it. If you like min maxing, the attributes have different values even at S. FYI. Yes. Not sure what you mean by that, but I understand that this is not maxed. Not sure what you're trying to say there. I personally don't min max, but that's what I like talking to people about. There are a lot of people that are free to play that don't want to invest poorly, and there are a lot of pay to win players that are, lower medium spenders that want to invest best bang for buck. While I'm not a whale, I'm a medium spender. I still would rather play for happiness over playing for best bang for buck. And again, that's just my personal view. Just my personal view. Does anyone have any questions? Yeah, I know that. I understand that goes all the way to the end, Gwendolyn. I understand that. But I'm looking for 5 good pets and then working on 1 great pet at a time. Because I have 5 marches that I want to fulfill. And while I don't play the meta currently of 1 tank, 2 archers, 2 mages, I may even go as far as having 7 pets that I like. But for right now, I want one that can go with each of my marches, so that way, going into next season, I have those established, because we'll be stuck with really low pets, especially initially, right? And we'll only be able to hunt 2, because the other 3 come from policies. And for those that are like early on in the season, these are required to have level 1 is required for military expansion to be 10, level 2 is required for military expansion to be level 15, and level 3 is required for military expansion to be level 20. So it's not a bing bang bada boom. It takes time. That's why, well, yes, the S tier can go all the way to the end. I'm not concerned about it. My Berserker Drake that I'm very emotionally attached to is sure really good, and I'm really happy about it, but it could definitely 110% be way better than where it is, and I could absolutely invest all of my resources in refreshing it, but I don't find value in that because I have a polar bear and a sapphire Drake I want to make better. Just my opinion. I want to go into next season being better than this season. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Berserker Drake, if you watched my last YouTube video on pets, I am emotionally attached. I went through so many ups and downs on Berserker Drake. I wasted like $150 trying to figure out Berserker Drake and screwed up so bad because I was learning live streaming and then making a video. And there was a lot of things that I learned during it, so that way other players wouldn't make the same mistakes as me. And a lot of players have thanked me for it because they're not making the same financial or emotional mistakes I did. Oh yeah, it was pretty bad. It was awful. You should watch that YouTube video or that live. The YouTube video tries to capture some of it, but the live I was very frustrated. I was so frustrated, and the response from support of Call of Dragons was very nice, very polite, but boiled down to, there's not much that we can do about it. It is an intended feature. We will review the English translation from the translation we have now, where we apologize that you're upset, but there's nothing more we can do. Yeah. Well, that's my job, right? As a content creator and as a teacher, I should make the mistakes as soon as new content comes out, so that way people don't have to make the same mistakes and learn just as hard as I did, right? That's what I enjoy doing. It makes me happy. I have never seen that before. Didn't even know that was a thing. Left without giving you a gift. Okay. All right. Wild. I'm not giving you a gift after you didn't give me a gift. I just want to make sure you're at 5, so I got your email. Wild. Does anyone have any questions about pets? So that way I can try and answer them. We got a lot of people in the stream and only one person talking. So happy to try and help. If anyone has any questions. I'm also down to learn. I enjoy learning. Quinlan seems educated. And again, Raccoony changed my perspective on how you should look at pets. But definitely curious if anyone has any other input. On a bragging note, I'm almost done transferring my T4s into T5s. Almost done. These are my last T4s to go into T5s. Yes, I do not have very many troops. 1.3, almost 1.4. Yeah, I can ask you questions. I don't have any questions. I want my opinions and my theories to come from myself or naturally from conversations like with Rakuni. So it's hard for me to come up with questions until I experience something and have a discussion about it. And when I have a discussion about it, I learn from that interaction. It's just the type of person I am. I don't want my life or what I do to cause people to feel as though I just steal their thoughts. That's why I try to give people as much credit as possible. I don't try to take credit for other people's actions. That's a poor way to interact with people. It belittles them. All right. Anything about pets other than, you know, me talking about life and theory crafting life? Not that I mind, just you know, curious if there's a way I can help you guys. I still haven't figured out what these things do. I don't understand the point of them. My cat Reinhardt says hi. He is meowing at me on the desk. Like, why are you not paying attention? Yeah. If you heard him on the mic, that's why. He's like, why are you not paying attention? He is an old boy with not much longer. We take care of him pretty well. All right. I guess if no one has any more questions, or no questions at all, I appreciate your guys' time and thank you for sticking around with me. I will be introducing or creating an advanced guide. The topics for my advanced guide so far are to answer some of the questions I've gotten on YouTube, specifically so that way other people that I assume have questions but don't want to ask them, hopefully I help. And then I'm going to talk about how many war pet types are there, which the chart goes over. How to capture, because some people are still a little bit confused about that. How to level them up in the intimacy levels. Like, what does it mean? Is it worth investing beyond that? How regen works, because some people don't understand everything that changes with regen, what you can lose, their attributes, and how this has different max levels and potentials, which we kind of just talked about with Lynn. The skills and what we're working on, which is what this live stream really talked about. How to buy and season limits, which we talked about this conversation right now, and which pet for each troop type. I think that all those things would be a good conversation for the advanced guide. It goes in a little bit more in depth for the pets that we have for now. If you guys have any other recommendations, please let me know. Hello, Blazing Sun.